Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Of course the contractor is mad. He thinks he can do whatever the hell he wants and people should just deal with it. I'm a bit surprised that our OP's neighbor is pissed, but I would venture to guess that if roles were reversed, they wouldn't be as patient and polite as OP has been. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Called parking enforcement on my neighbor's contractor. 2 weeks ago, my neighbor's contractor parked on the street blocking my driveway. I found him and asked him to move. He told me he needed 30 minutes, and I said, I can't wait, I have to pick up my kids at school. He asked how long I could wait, and I said 10 minutes. He got upset with me and said fine, he'd move in 10. He moved after 15, and I got to school 2 minutes after pickup, and my daughter was waiting in the office. When I got back, he was blocking my driveway again. I couldn't find him. I parked on the street and texted my neighbor. He asked him to move, but he didn't move for an hour. Early last week, he parked blocking my driveway again, fortunately while I was out. I parked on the street and I couldn't find him. I texted the neighbor again, who tracked him down and got him to move. It still took him an hour to move. Then last Friday, I got parked in again and the contractor was on the roof. He said he couldn't come down until he finished things. I texted my neighbor and he said he was out and the contractor wasn't answering. I had to get a ride from someone else to get my kids. The contractor was still there when I got back, so I called parking enforcement and they came and gave the contractor a ticket for blocking my driveway. The neighbor's pissed and calling me an a-hole for calling parking enforcement, and since I was able to get a ride from someone else, I should have let it go. He also said his contractor's pissed and wants me to pay the fine. However, every time I asked him, he gave me attitude or took a long time, and my neighbor couldn't get him to move either. So I think I'm justified in calling parking enforcement after this happened multiple times. And our second story. And our last story. Crazy HOA Karen is trespassing on my property and trying to make my life miserable. 3 years ago, we moved into our current house and immediately started having issues with the HOA. Mainly one person, we'll call her Karen. She lives 2 doors down from us. We're on 1 acre of land. Our house is very private and surrounded by woods. Our house was previously a farm, so it has old farmhouse feel and charm. We love it. Our yard's beautiful and park-like. Shortly after moving in, Karen contacted us, letting us know that she would need to do an inspection since our yard had violations. Upon further discussion, she was stating that the woods have weeds in them. Let me repeat. The wooded area on our property has weeds. This is not a yard or grass area. This is literally the woods. She wanted us to pay someone to fix it. We figured out that the ARB has 6 members when BOD docs state there should be 5. I pointed this out to HOA president in hopes of having her removed since she's been serving since the start of the community 20 years ago, and the BOD docs state 1-year term with 3-year term limit. Instead, HOA president says, oh, we're just doing that since we haven't had anyone else. Can we please have you serve on the ARB? Me and my husband joined, thinking we could make a change. We were wrong. So wrong. Every meeting was something more offensive than the last one. One time she went to someone's yard and on a stepping stone moved her feet around and said it was wobbly and someone could be injured and they had to be removed. 2, she told someone they couldn't have solar panels even though state law says otherwise. 3, one time I put up an out of office right before Christmas. That upset her and she removed it. She was rude to me at every turn. She disagreed loudly to anything I said. She talks badly about the entire neighborhood, and I received multiple people coming to me telling me specifically she had complained about me. During this time, she was also putting flyers for her real estate business in my mailbox. She would mainly put them in the newspaper box under the mailbox and then between the red flag and the mailbox. She also walked down our driveway to put ads on our door and on our mat. I asked her to stop after the first one, and she said no, it's her right, she can do it. I pointed out our local law says no ads without postage can be affixed to the mailbox. She continued. She ended up being the realtor for the house next to us. She sent us a letter saying we had 3 days to put up a new fence as ours is decrepit and has mold which could kill people. Now, this is a beautiful rustic fence. It has lichen, which is normal and non-toxic. Furthermore, the fence is fully on my property. It's not a shared fence. She said that she'd have it power washed. That might be too powerful though, and the fence might come down. I told her again, do not come on my property. Do not touch or damage my fence. I quit the ARB and let them know it was due to harassment by Karen. This year, ARB is coming again. I emailed and said I would not feel comfortable with Karen in my yard. There are other people on the board, so it's not an issue, I would think. No, it appears she's asserting her right to come on our property in early July. No date or time. I considered it trespassing, so we went the route of drama and hired an attorney who wrote a cease and desist letter, and she's no longer bothering us. And our last story. Hire me under false pretenses, then fire me under more fallacies? Well, okay then. Background. After leaving sixth form, college from my family over the pond, I started a job as a full-stack Java developer for a small company in the city I currently reside, study, and work. More on that later. For those not in the know, a full-stack developer is someone that develops the application/website that controls an application, the middleware brain, and the back end, usually a database of some kind. In the contract, it stated that all development projects developed within Not Real Company's offices are the sole property of the company. I was new to the scene and assumed this was the norm. Turns out it is important later. The story. My training was minimalistic and expectations were insanely high. I was placed on a client project within the first month and was told that this was to be trial by fire. Oh boy. Having spoken to the client, their expectations had already been set by the owner. Let's call him Burke. Burke is an English term for moron. Whatever you need, our developers can accommodate. Their requirements were as follows. The intranet software must match the production, public site, and functionality, including jQuery and other technologies I was unfamiliar with. Must accommodate their inventory and shipping database, including prior version functionality, which included loading 400K plus database table into a web page in one shot. Must look seamless on all internal assets regardless of browser. This is important. Absolutely must use the strongest security money can buy without requiring external sources. Having asked what the oldest machine on their network was, I realized it was a nightmare given form. They wanted advanced web toys to work with Windows XP SP1, which did not and does not support HTML5, let alone the version of JavaScript/jQuery the main website does. I was given a timeline of 2 months to build this by the client, who were already under the impression that all would be okay. Having spent a few days researching and prototyping, it was clear that their laundry list of demands was impossible. I told them in plenty of time, providing evidence with virtual machines using their golden images. The website looked clunky. The database loader crashed the entire machine. The JavaScript flat out refused to work. Needless to say, they weren't happy. I was ordered to fix the issue or my butt is out on the street. Spending every waking moment outside of work, I build something that, still to this day, I am insanely proud of. The database was built robust, built to British and German security standards around information security. The password management system was nuke-proof. I calculated it would take until the sun died to crack a single password, and managed to get the database to load into the page flawlessly using pagination, the same technology Amazon uses to slide through pages, and Ajax, not important, my fellow devs will know. I managed to get the project completed a day before the deadline, gave the customer a deadline, and plugged their live data into it. Everything worked fine. But their DB had multiple duplicate records. No way to filter through them. I told them that I could fix this issue with a 100% success rate and would build dupe protection into the software. It was easy, without losing pertinent information. The SQL script was dirty but functional. Shortly after completing the project, I was told it was too slow. Now bear in mind, the longest action took 0.0023 of a second, even on XP. Nevertheless, I built it faster, giving benchmarking data for the before and after only 0.0001 of a second improvement. Shortly after, I was told to pack my crap as I'd failed my peer review. The nightmare continues. Because I'd built the software outside of work, on my own time, on my own devices, they had no rights over it, as the only version they saw was the second to last and final commits from my private GitHub. Shortly after leaving, I'm served papers summoning me to court for corporate espionage. Wait, what? Turned up to court with all relevant documents, a copy of my development system on an ISO for evidence, and a court-issued solicitor. Their claim was that I'd purposely engineered the application to be insecure, causing their client to be hacked, losing an inordinate amount of money. They presented the source code as evidence, citing that the password functionality for the management interface was using MD5. You can Google an MD5 hash and find out what it is. I showed the court the source code I have from the final version, which had only been altered once within work premises to improve speed and provide benchmarking information. They then accused me of theft despite showing IP trace information from Git, the commit hashes from GitHub, correlating with my PC, and all the time logs from editing and committing, all out of hours. The aftermath. To cut an already long story short, I got a payout for defamation of character and time wasted. They paid all the court costs and was let go with summons removed from my record. The story doesn't end there, though. Currently, I'm doing a degree in information security and working for a managed service provider for security products and monitoring. I was asked to do a site visit and perform full black box penetration test. I'm given no knowledge on the network to be attacked and can use almost any means to gain access. Full compliance test for PCI DSS, payment card industry for debit and credit payments, GDPR, information storage and management, ISO 27001 full audit. All in all, this is a very highly paid job. Sat in the car park with a laptop. I gained full admin access within about 20 minutes, cloned the access cards to my phone over the air, and locked their systems down, all within the contract. Leaving for the day, I compile a report with pure glee. Their contract with us stipulates that the analyst on site would remain to remediate any and all issues, would have total jurisdiction over the network whilst on the job, and would return 6 months later for further assessment and remedy and all issues persistent or new. The report put the company on blast, outlining every single fault, every blind spot, and provided evidence of previous compromise. The total cost of repairs was more than the company was willing to pay. They were able. I saw the finances after all. The company went into liquidation, but not before trying to have me fired for having a prior vendetta. The legal team for my current employers not so politely tore them to shreds, suing for defamation of character. Sounds familiar, right? Forcing them to liquidate even more assets than they intended, ultimately costing them their second home. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.